All right, before we get started, I just want to get an idea. Is there anybody here that's not familiar with Zoey 101? Okay, we got a couple. Well, thank you for being here. Prepare to be enlightened. Okay, yeah. So this is Zoey 101, Nickelodeon's live-action masterpiece. So yeah, let's talk about it. So just a quick disclaimer before we get started. I'm not here on behalf of Nickelodeon or Viacom or Dan Schneider or anything. That's the company name. These are just my thoughts and reflections based on watching the show. I'm not here to represent any company or anything like that. Okay. So just to get an idea of what we're going to talk about today, I'm sure most of you, when you saw the schedule and saw there was a Zoey 101 panel at midnight, said, "Excuse me, what?" So we're going to quickly talk about, just recap what the show is for our new folks here, and then for anybody that needs a refresher. And then as far as what makes the show a masterpiece and thinking about it, there were some key sort of elements as far as balance goes that I think really amplify what makes the show so good. So we're going to go through some examples of some various episodes and themes throughout the show and understand why that makes it so good. And then we'll conclude by talking about why it's still relevant to talk about Zoey 101 2020 and what the future may hold for Zoey 101. Okay, so part one. So I'm sure if anybody here are familiar with Zoey 101, it's probably because it's got an absolute banger of a theme song. So. And please, please, please feel free to sing along. Oh, wait, hang on. Go back. I don't know. Come on. There we go.
Are you ready?
I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm just another kind of girl, and you wanna see my world. So come and run away. Yeah, yeah. If you wanna play, come and play today. Let's just get away. Yeah, I will make you see all the things that you can be. Believe in yourself, don't follow me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just a quick thanks to Nickelodeon for uploading an HD version of that to YouTube. That's great. For those true fans, you'll know that that's the season 3 version of the theme. Yeah. So just to quickly recap, Zoey 101 is a teen dramedy that aired on Nickelodeon from around 2005, 2008. So the first episode, I believe, aired on January 9th, 2005. So we're coming up on the 15-year anniversary of the show, which is bonkers. But yeah, the show ran for 4 seasons, 61 episodes, and as I'm sure most of you were, it was created by Dan Schneider, who also created shows like... Okay. For anyone unaware, I'll leave that to you to Google on your own time. But outside of his personal life, Dan Schneider was involved in shows like Drake and Josh, iCarly. So one of the things I wanted to talk about in this panel is, I think that period of time for live-action Nickelodeon TV, shows like Drake and Josh, Zoey 101, even other shows like Ned's Declassified, I think really, are emblematic of that time, and I think are very important for all of us. So that's something I want to talk about today. So let's get into the real meat of this today. We're going to talk about what I'm calling themes of balance. And ultimately, this is the idea that you have two alternate sort of ideas or juxtaposed positions wherein this show kind of balances the two of them in order to maximize for sort of maximum quality. So the first thing we're going to talk about is short-term versus long-term storytelling. So any sitcom is going to need to have sort of, you know, a quick story they could wrap up in 22 to 25 minutes within that episode. So it can be self-contained, so you don't have to feel like you're sort of you have to understand the larger narrative. Netflix is kind of different for that sort of thing nowadays, but before we had all that, TV, you need to be able to watch one episode and enjoy it. So we'll start by talking about short-term. And so generally, this is kind of my interpretation of how episodes of Zoey 101 were put together. So we're here at Nickelodeon, or we're at, you know, Schneider's Bakery or wherever, and we're putting together an episode of Zoey 101. And so inside the writer's room, they have these two bulletin boards on the wall. On the left, you've got a bunch of characters. So you've got your main characters, your Zoeys and your Chases and your Michaels and whatnot. And then you've also got some fun side characters like, you know, like Coco or Dean Rivers. And and then on the right, you've got some scenarios. So you've got, you know, taking a hard test, or gets in a fight with their best friend, or gets really sick, or something silly like that. Something the kids would relate to, right? And so the way I like to think that they put these episodes together was, rather than like actually thinking about it or trying to put stuff together, they just kind of looked at these boards and then took out a pack of darts and just like, you know, aimed at the board, and they just chucked one, and they got, okay, cool, we got Quinn. Great, all right. So we've got Quinn, we're gonna put her some sort of story or whatever, so we're gonna throw a dart at the other board, and okay, breakup. Okay, this is big. This is a big moment for Quinn, right? So this leads us to an episode in season 4 called Quinn Mr Mark. Mark Del Figolo, underrated character, as I'm sure you're all aware. So the basic premise of this episode, or the A-plot in this episode, is that that Quinn and Mark, who have been dating for a couple seasons now, break up. And it's, you know, it's a sad moment because they're a fun sort of comedic duo of characters. They go through some wacky situations together, whatever. But, you know, they've come to a moment in their lives where they need different things, and the two of them just aren't going to work out anymore. Which, you know, which is a real bummer, but it's an important moment for them, and they both grow from the experience. So we've got our A-plot. Great. So every sitcom needs an A-plot and a B-plot. Great. All right. So we're going to take our dart again, and we're going to throw another one at the dartboard. And we got Michael. Okay. Michael's a fun character. So I'm forgetting the actor's name, but Massey's the last name. I can't remember his first name. Kyle Massey? Or we'll go Kyle Massey. So his brother, Kyle Massey, plays Corey and Corey in the House. And that's a Raven. It's a great, you know, very important family. So we've got Michael. Okay, great. So we're going to take our next dart, and we're going to throw it at the next board, and we're going to chuck it. And, I don't know, where did it, did any of you guys see the dart? I don't know where it went. I think it landed on, like, Dan's desk over there. He's got some pictures of his family. It's on a picture of his daughter's horseback. Oh, okay, whatever. Roll with it. So this is kind of what you're... So this is what your typical episode is going to end up looking like in an episode of Zoey 101. And sure, you know, you could argue this is pretty standard as far as, you know, sitcoms go, but I'd argue that Zoey 101 really goes out of its way to create stories that are both sort of kind of silly, but also, you know, are more memorable than you may see in other shows. So, I mean, this is just one example. Like, you know, how often do you see a horse walk into a human shower? You know, it's... I don't think he does. But so, you know, you have situations like a breakup or a horse. Maybe you have somebody's grandma dying, or somebody getting stuck in a vending machine and talking to a puppet. Or maybe there's a Drake Bell concert. Or, you know, maybe Zoey's brother is a science experiment for sleep deprivation. You know, this is a good episode. So, given that, we kind of have an understanding of how Zoey 101 is going to use short-term storytelling in episodes, so we can kind of look at sort of the more long-term and understand how each of the episodes kind of work together to create a more longer-term narrative. And so, anybody who's seen this show is very much aware that it's a show about Zoey and Chase. And so, these are your two friends that, you know, are meant to be together, but you know they never quite worked out, or you know they both care about each other, but they don't have the nerve to talk about it. And so let's kind of take a look at the longer arc of their relationship over the course of the show, and kind of get an understanding of how that works. So these are some screenshots from the first episode. When Zoey first arrives at PCA, the very first thing that happens to her and to Chase in this show is that they see each other and they wave, and you can kind of already feel an immediate connection. And then the next thing that happens is that Chase rides into a flagpole. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But so, you know, this is kind of, it sets the stage in that you can tell there's a connection here, but it's always going to be a bit of a faulty connection. You know, like you've got like kind of like crappy service on your phone or something. Like there's a connection there, but there's always going to be some sort of mishap that gets in the way. And so as the show goes on, in season 2, we get episodes like Time Capsule. So episodes like Time Capsule, wherein Zoey creates a video for a time capsule that's going to go to be buried for 20 years. And so she makes this video and she talks about all her friends, and Chase wants to know what she's saying about him. There's an episode in season 2 called Lola Likes Chase, where Chase starts kind of dating Lola, who's one of Zoey's roommates, which kind of, you know, Lola's good looking, but it always kind of seems a little bit weird between the two of them. And then the big episode in season 2 is Spring Breakup, which is an excellent one. And this is an episode where Chase accidentally sends a text to Zoey where he confesses his love for her. And so the crux of the entire episode is he's trying to prevent her from seeing that text. And by the end of the episode, he's actually realized he's ready to tell her. So he sends her this text with his tech mate, which I love. And he says, you know, the message says, "I love you," but Zoey didn't have her phone. Zoey's phone was on the side of a fountain. And then it vibrated and fell in the fountain. So going back to the flagpole, this is another instance where you can tell there's a connection. Love has been confessed, but something always finds a way to get in the way. Season 3, we start, one of the first episodes is called Chase's Girlfriend with Danielle Monet, who would later be in Victorious. And so very early on, Danielle becomes very jealous of Zoey, and she makes it clear to Chase that she has to choose between Zoey and her. And Chase chooses Zoey, naturally. There's a later episode wherein Logan, who a bit of a, yeah, there you go. We got some Logan fans out there. Logan starts tutoring Zoey in chemistry, which they're kind of secretive about because, you know, Logan's a bit of a hunk. He doesn't really want people to know that he's in chemistry or he's smart about it. And so this, you know, the secrecy of their tutoring makes people suspicious. You know, Zoey's seeing Logan in their spare time, like, you know, they're kind of sneaking around together. What's going on? But Chase later finds out and things work out okay. There's a later episode called where Chase sells a radio, the Fata Model 115, to Zoey for I think like $3 and a coupon, an expired coupon for a taco. And Zoey later finds out that the radio is actually worth like $10,000, which is ridiculous. And so Chase thinks that Zoey bought the radio for him and totally undercut him. And it kind of drives a wedge between the two of them, and there's a big misunderstanding there. But sort of despite the misunderstandings that we see throughout these episodes, we know that they're still connected and they're still always going to be there for one another, because when Chase's grandma dies, in the episode aptly titled Chase's Grandma, Zoey's there for him. His favorite song plays in the background when they're sort of out in the rain together. It's a very emotional moment for the two of them. And it kind of shows that despite everything that might come between the two of them, there's always going to be a connection there. And then, so my friend Jacqueline actually shared a tweet with me today, wherein today is the 12-year anniversary of the season finale for season 3. And so Nickelodeon actually tweeted a really good clip that I want to play for you guys. No, it's just a clip.
Unlock the door when you admit that you miss Zoey. Well, then we better order some.
Oh. So just for context before we get started. So the end of season 3 and the beginning of season 4 are very interconnected in that at the end of season 3, Zoey finds out from her parents that her dad is being relocated to work in England. And they're in California, obviously, Pacific Coast Academy. And so Zoey has the option to go study at Covington, which is a very prestigious boarding school in England. And so she's asking her friends about it, and it's a good opportunity, but she doesn't want to leave her friends behind. And through a series of events, Chase actually finds out that Zoey may be leaving, not from Zoey, but from Mark Del Figolo. And so Chase interprets that as Zoey didn't care enough to ask him about his opinion on her leaving. And so he just shuts down. He's like devastated. He is deeply in love with her, and she doesn't seem to care at all. At least that's his interpretation. And so when Zoey leaves, or Zoey decides to leave, Chase isn't even there to say goodbye. He's gone completely. It's a whole mess. And so Zoey moves to England, which is where she is now, and you can see in the shot. And this scene, yeah, that's England. Brown background, clearly, yeah. So this takes place after Zoey and Chase have done a video chat, sort of catching up and explaining what happened. And so they're a bit clearer, but they're still kind of frustrated. It's not really, they're still not right on the same page. But what happens after they finish the video chat, they don't shut the camera off in the boys' room. In the bedroom, yeah, it's not a bad, okay.
Dance starting to strike again.
So what we're seeing here is the camera is still on, and Chase is still sort of in denial about, he's kind of putting on this face that he doesn't miss Zoey, he doesn't need her, whatever. And he falls into a confrontation with his best friends and his roommates, Michael and Logan, about the situation. And Zoey, unbeknownst to all of them, is actually watching all of this through the webcam. So let's see what happens here.
Pizzas and a toilet, because we're gonna be in here for a while.
Why is it so hard for you to just admit it's killing you that Zoey's gone?
It's hard to admit something that's not true. Chase! Enough, all right?
Ooh! Looky here.
Put that down. Zoey gave you this, right? Maybe just put it down. Why?
If you don't care about Zoey, then why would you care about a stupid little stuffed animal she gave you?
Logan.
It's cool. Chase doesn't care about it.
That's right, I don't. Good. Good. Well, then I guess it wouldn't bug you if I do this. Chase! Sorry, shh. It's cool. It's okay.
This is important.
Everything you guys said is true. We know you miss Zoey, man. I don't just miss her. I'm in love with her. I saw her standing there on my bike and that stupid flag. I was in love with Zoey before I hit the ground. I don't think that feeling's ever gonna go away.
So, as far as I'm aware, the show's only ever been released on DVD, so I appreciate Nickelodeon uploading the HD clips. It's nice. But so one of the things we missed there in our mass excitement was one of the things Chase says is he talks about when he met her the first time, and he went on when he was biking over it and waving, and he says, "I fell in love with her before I hit the ground," which I think, I don't know, that's kind of nice. So following this, at the beginning of season 4, Zoey knows, and so through a complex series of events, Chase knows he has to go to England to chase after Zoey. He needs to be with her. He's in love with her, and Zoey knows she needs to be with Chase, so that means she has to go back to PCA, right? And so the first episode of season 4 is aptly titled "Trading Places" because the two do that, and so they both know. Chase has professed his love for Zoey, and this is sort of the first time that, it's always been kind of hinted at, and he's talked about it with his friends, whatever, but this is the first time he's sort of made it very clear. It's explicit. Chase is madly in love with Zoey. But now they find themselves in swapped continents, halfway across the world. What are they going to do? So at the beginning of season 4, they try to make it work. They go on video call dates. There's an episode where they're getting sushi together via video call, and it's just not working. Technical issues, time difference. Chase's roommate is like a really stereotypical like English asshole. It's great, and so it's not going to work out, unfortunately. And they're going to need to take some time themselves, and Chase is going to need to do at least a semester in Covington before he can come back, and so they're going to be away for a while, which is tough because they know, it's finally been confirmed between the two of them. They know that they're in love, they know they want to be together, but they just can't. And so, following that, the unthinkable happens. Dun, dun, dun. So I was actually going to tell you guys. So I was actually going to tell you guys to boo him, and I appreciate you doing that. Like, okay, good, awesome. So yeah, this is James, who ends up being Michael and Chase's new roommate. After they find out that Chase is gone, Michael and Logan's new roommate, after they find out Chase is gone, and in a weird way, he kind of tries to fill the void and just doesn't really do it. He lives with Michael and Logan. He starts dating Zoey partway through the season, and in a way, he kind of fills it in. He becomes friendly with the guys, and he and Zoey are getting along, and they're dating and they're happy and things are going well. And then we get to the season finale, and James is ready to tell Zoey that he loves her.
Oh, come on. You don't know what
And despite the fact that in many ways James has been filling the void that Chase left, he can't quite do it. He can't hit it all. And so Zoey tells James, after he says that he loves her, that she needs some time to think about it. They're not going to go to prom together, Zoey needs to take the time off. She needs to take time to think. And so on prom night, everyone's out dancing or whatever, and Zoey's kind of just walking around the beautiful PCA campus, by the way, filmed at the excellent Pepperdine University in California. And, yeah, there you go. Somebody's out there. And she's walking around, and suddenly she gets a call. And somebody on the phone tells her to look behind her. And there he is. And so there they are. And so, like they met for the first time, they're far away, but Chase is waving. And just like they met like the first time, Chase falls over again. And so despite all they've been through, despite everything that's happened to the two of them, every episode, every storyline, every whatever, every fight they've ever been in, something has always remained constant. Chase has always fallen down. But they've also always loved each other. They've also always cared about each other. And they've always been there for one another. And after 4 seasons, after 4 years of school, after all this time together, it finally happens. So I was actually going to reorder the panel to end here because this is just too good, but trust me, we'll come back to this. Quick side fact on our friend James here real quick. There's an episode in season 3 called Quarantine where, they all get sick and they get stuck, whatever. And so Stacy Dilson, Stacy Dilson, the Q-tip enthusiast, she has a date to go see a movie with a man named Danifer. And in season 3, Danifer is portrayed by none other than James Butler, the same actor who plays James later on, which is never explained. He plays 2 characters in the show. I just thought it was weird. Anyway. Exactly. Anyhow, so we've discussed long-term and short-term storytelling. We're going to move on now to talk about drama and comedy. Hence the term dramedy. And so we're actually going to go right back to a great episode we talked about earlier, which is Quinn Mr Mark. And because I think this episode is a really good indicator of what we want to talk about here, in that we've got our A plot, we've got our B plot, and looking at these 2 stories, you'd expect to see, okay, our A plot is about a breakup, that's going to be all drama, all tragedy, and our B plot is about Michael and a horse, so that's just going to be silly and fun and whatever and all that. But that's not actually the case. And so what we see is that rather than focusing one storyline purely on tragedy, focusing one storyline purely on comedy, we actually get a bit of both in each. It's about a 75-25 ratio, it's not 50-50, but what we end up seeing is for Quinn in her breakup, there's instances like she in the restaurant where she sees Mark on a date with another girl, which right after they've broken up, this is a devastating moment for her. But there's also a scene where she's like playing around in Photoshop with Mark's face, like messing it all up and everything. And it's kind of a comedic moment, so you get a good mix there. And then with Michael, and honestly, I think this moment hit me a little bit harder. Michael kind of grows to like the horse over the course of the episode. He's kind of weirded out by it, but he starts feeding it cookies and they start having a good time. There's an instance where Zoe's gonna be late for class, and so Michael picks up Zoe and puts her on the horse and they ride together to get her to class. It's truly epic. And so, but then there's an instance at the end of the episode where, okay, there should never have been a horse on the campus in the first place. It turns out it was there with some show or something. The horse's owner comes around, and Michael has a pretty emotional goodbye. He has to say goodbye to this horse that at first kind of weirded him out, but now he's there by his side, and he's really, he's been through adventures with. So what you ultimately see here is, rather than focusing too much on tragedy or on drama or on comedy in any instance, you get a balance wherein you find that you're constantly invested because you want to know what's going to happen to the characters. They're going through serious situations. But you're also not depressed or let down or disinterested because you're also laughing frequently. And when you get that balance, you're always kind of having a good time, but you also care about what's going to happen to these characters. And I think that is something that really amplifies how good the show is and how good the characters are and how good the writing is and the situations and whatnot. So that's something I really like about this show. And we're going to talk about our last theme of balance here. We're going to be kind of careful with this one. So one of the very first things you see in this show is when Zoe arrives on campus, there's a sign that says Pacific Coast Academy for boys, and there's a janitor or maintenance guy putting a little addendum on that says, and girls. So from the very beginning of the show, you get this idea that, okay, yeah, there's going to be a difference. There's going to be, that's going to be played up as sort of one of the main things about the show. There's an episode where there's a statue of the school's founder, and they put like bronze panties on him. It's a whole, yeah. That was a good one, yeah. And so you kind of get this idea that like this show is going to be sort of like, gender defenders. It's going to be Battle of the Sexes, but it really isn't. It's not sort of like he says, she says. It's not girls wrestling guys. This is a show where rather than using masculinity versus femininity, it's sort of more of an idea of we get traits from all the characters that kind of fall into both of those camps. And so I think one of the best ways we can look at that is actually going back to the theme song. One more time?
Are you ready?
Ooh, I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today? I'm just another kind of girl, and you wanna see my world, so come and run away. Yeah, yeah. If you wanna play, come and play today. Let's just get away. Yeah, I will make you see all the things that you can be. Believe in yourself and follow me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So how good is that theme song? But you guys paid extra close attention this time, right? Because we're going to look a little deeper into this. And so one of the things I love about this sequence, and the fact that it changes every season, but is that you get these cool little visuals where rather than just seeing a character doing one thing or sort of doing whatever, you always see them doing two different things. You're always going to see a graphic like this where you'll see Zoey doing something on the right, like, okay, she's playing basketball, Sorry?
Ball is life.
Oh, okay. Good. So you'll see her doing something sort of, traditionally more sort of, man associated, whereas on the left side, she's more sort of like outwardly presenting. She's sort of more, she's ready to hit the ball or to whatever. And so you see this sort of as a constant theme through the theme song where on the right side, you can see Chase is sort of like, he's kind of overdoing it as far as how he's playing football there. He's kind of like overly projecting as far as manliness goes because you feel like he has to make up for it a little bit. And on the left side, he's a bit more kind of like confused, a little more vulnerable. And so you get a good balance there as well. And then my personal favorite is with Quinn, who I think is an underrated character in the show, and she gets better every season. In that, on the left, you see her sort of like, she's at war, she's got her slingshot, she's ready to take you out. But on the right, she's actually imitating her younger self. There's an episode where when she's still dating Mark, they find out that she participated in beauty pageants when she was a kid. And so there's a video of like a 4-year-old Quinn like spinning around with the twirlers and all that stuff. And so she's actually reenacting this for Mark, which in that scene is actually it's a little awkward to watch, but you can see again here, so Quinn is initially opposed to her past of being in beauty pageants and whatnot. And she's kind of she's fully invested in science and in her life there. But in recognizing that part of her life and sort of accepting that as a part of who she is, it allows her to sort of have a more diverse set of traits and makes her a more full character. So again, rather than being a show that seems like it's about men versus women or boys versus girls, it ends up being more so a show like this. It's just about friends that have complicated personalities and they have a lot of stuff going on. And also, I love this picture because I feel like you could go on Facebook and find an album or something called sophomore year 2008, and then you would totally see this picture. So that's great. So understanding sort of those are kind of the key themes that I want to look at, and understanding now why this show is as good as it is. I think it's important to look at the impact that it continues to have and why you're all here tonight. So let's talk about Zoey 101 in 2020. Okay, well, rather 2015 to start.
Oh, what a beautiful clam.
Open it.
What is this?
It's a ring in a clam. Well, in a clam shell. I ate the clam.
Oh my God, Chase. Does this mean...
So, Alyssa, being with you these last few years has been amazing.
It has.
Pretty much, yeah. And I think that everyone in life has a soulmate.
Oh.
So, will you make me the happiest guy on earth?
He looks the same.
And tell me that you'll...
Chase!
Michael!
Chase! Oh my God, man! I've been looking for you everywhere!
How you been,
Your
man?
hair's still bushy!
How did you know that was going to be at this restaurant?
Look, could you give us a second, please?
But he was just about
Why do you look so dirty and gross?
I've been digging.
Digging?
Yes, digging in dirt. Okay, listen, you have to see this.
Is this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Zoey's video. Oh my God, you got Zoey's video! Oh.
Who is Zoey?
How did you get this? Okay, dude, I flew to California, all right? I rented a shovel, went to PCA, and I dug it up myself.
Hey, buddy. He was just about to ask me to marry him.
That sounds beautiful, but this is very important.
Michael, we already went through this 10 years ago. I can't watch this DVD without Zoey's permission.
Dude, she gave you her permission.
What do you mean?
Okay, 10 years ago, you told me that you were sitting on the lawn at PCA, and she came up to you and tied your shoelaces together, and then she said...
You know how you asked me what I said about you on my DVD?
Uh-huh.
And I said you'll find out in 20 years?
Right.
Well, I decided that was a little mean.
So?
So I'm gonna tell you.
You're gonna tell me?
Yep. In 10 years.
What?
Bye.
See? Zoey said 10 years. That's 10 years today.
Quit eating my fries.
Wait, did you actually watch this video?
Yes, you have to see it.
Can he watch it after we get engaged?
Babe, you're my everything.
Does anyone here have a DVD player? Anyone, anybody? You? Anyone? DVD player, come on.
Anyone?
Anyone? Anybody?
I have a VHS player.
No! That won't work! Man, I've gotta know what Zoey said about me in this video.
Okay, look. Do you want me to read it to you?
Read it?
Yes, I watched the whole video and I wrote down everything she said about it.
What are you waiting for? Read it!
Can you at least order me some lemonade?
Thanks, babe. I'm not thirsty.
Okay. You want to know what Zoey said about you?
Yes, yes. No, wait.
Why do you have that?
Okay, so Zoey said, and now I want to tell you about one of the most special people I've ever met.
Who's she talking about? Me? Is she talking about me?
Yes, she's talking about you. Okay, yes, then go on. Okay, listen. His name is Chase Matthews. And he's one of the funniest, coolest, nicest guys in the world. And sometimes I kind of think he has a little crush on me. Oh my God! She knew? Everybody knew.
Everybody knew what?
That I'm in love with Zoey! Even now!
Yes!
What else did she say?
Okay, and she also said, but other times, I kind of think he just wants to be friends.
No, I wanted more. I wanted so much more.
But now you love me.
What else did Zoey say?
Okay. All I know for sure is Chase is really special to me. And who knows? Maybe he's even my soulmate.
I was your soulmate.
No, I said everyone has a soulmate.
Well, you were
I gotta text Zoe. What? Chase, nobody uses these anymore. Well, then I gotta find her. Yeah, go do that. I love that guy.
I'm really sorry. Can I just, yeah, thanks.
Hey, give Zoe my love.
I'll do it.
Hey, can I come to your house and take a bath?
If you wanna play, come and play today. Let's just get away. Yeah, I will make you see all of the things that you can be. Believe in
So I like that clip a lot, actually, because it actually, I mean, other than the fact that it came out in 2015, everyone freaked out, it was really cool and awesome to see those characters again, is it really does remind me of that clip we watched earlier from the tweet about when Chase confesses his love for Zoe, and he doesn't know that she's seeing it, but she's seeing it. And so kind of in the same way, Zoe didn't really intend Chase to see that video, at least until much later on. And so he gets to know her real feelings for him when she's not there to see it. So it feels like an interesting parallel in a way like that. Anyhow, so this comes out in 2015, and I went back and found this video so I could show it to you all today. And I'm looking at the comments, and there's plenty of great stuff here about people who, this came out in 2015, and people in 2019 still want to see if it's going to be continued, and they want to, people are talking about reboots, and people getting really excited, and so, it would be one thing if these were just sort of like isolated comments, people talking about, why they love Zoey 101 and the impact that it had on them and whatnot. But it's another thing that this video has been viewed 15 million times. So, well, this maybe isn't a show that, you hear talked about as far as like lists of greatest shows of all time or people talking about all the time or whatever. It's very clear that this had a significant impact on a lot of people. There's a reason you guys are all here. There's a reason I'm here doing this. So I think, it's important to recognize that while this may seem just kind of like some silly little teen drama from the early mid-2000s, this is a really important touchstone for a lot of people. And so given that, and given the news that came out of this and people talking about it, there are some murmurings and some rumors going around of possible reunions. Jamie Lynn Spears put out an Instagram story talking about the show and kind of reminiscing in some of the memories of it, whatever. And so there's discussion going on, and there's potential for something to happen. And I think if we want to make sure that something does happen, if we want to see this story continue, I think it's important that we remember that a story that started here with two kids that we knew were destined to be together, that ended up here. So it's important to recognize that watching this become this is something that's important to all of us, and that this entire show is something that it is more important than it may seem to be at face value. And so I think it's important that we're vocal about that. Those comments, those millions of views, I think have potential to lead to something bigger and better and more. And so I think we should make sure that when you're out there talking about Zoey 101 or you're out there talking about TV shows in general, remember that this is the show that's probably important to you. Yeah, and so I just think that's the reason why we're here today. I wanted to remind everybody of how great this show is and why it's so important to all of us. And given all that, I think it's time that we, really put our energy together and think about this and really hope for something new and really, really think about it. And if we get our stuff together. Channel your energy, put it all together. if we are vocal, we can continue to show that this is something that we care about and we want to see more of. Go on Amazon. The DVDs for season 2 through 4 are manufacture on demand. So go buy those DVDs. Let's see that demand spike through the roof. And maybe, sorry? Well, yeah, it's probably still owned by Nickelodeon, so yeah, if Viacom maybe, I'm not sure. He doesn't work for Nickelodeon anymore, so. So if we put our energy together, if we put our dollars to work, if we put our social media out there, maybe, just maybe, we'll see something happen.
Let's go!
So thank you guys all so much for being here. This was a dream come true. So yeah, no, I mean, we've still got 15 minutes, so. The theme song one more time? Let's do it.
One more theme, one more theme, one more theme, one more theme, one more theme.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Hang on. There we go. There we go.
Are you ready?
I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm just another kind of girl, and you wanna see my world. So come and run away. Yeah, yeah. If you wanna play, come and play today. Let's just get away. Yeah, I will make you see all of the things that you can be. Believe in yourself and follow me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, hang on here. Whoop. There we go. So I was out on the floor today, and I was looking around, and one of the booths had, you know, like they have all the. There's the one booth that has like a bunch of games on the floor, you know, in front of the. Yeah.
Is Dan Schneider the father of Zoey
So the pregnancy didn't end the show. That's been confirmed. So the contract ran out, and they concluded the series, and nobody knew, and she hadn't said anything about being pregnant until after the show had finished taping. So look it up. Anyhow, so I was looking around the floor, and there's a couple of booths that have games just on the floor, and so I bought this game for $3. So I'd like one of you to do that. So I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking a bit about trivia, looking at it a little ahead of time. So I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain I have this right. Other than Zoey, there's one character who appears on the show more than any other character. Again, as opposed to excluding Zoey. Does anybody know who that character is? Let's raise hands. Raise hands. Yeah. Incorrect. Incorrect. Yeah. Michael. That's Michael. Come get it. All right. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys all so much for coming out. This has been really great. Thank you for being here.